Hello, ladies. I am
Hello.
Hello.
super excited to be here with you today. International coaching perspective. That is so important these days, what coaching can do. And I'm really looking forward to have a great conversation with the both of you. And I would like to start first with Ivanna Casado. She is in the United States. And Ivanna, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your business?
Perfect. Well, I'm originally from Caracas, Venezuela, and I have lived in the States for, I don't know, almost like 30 years. So this is home. I live in Miami. And I am an executive coach, corporate coach, and a mindfulness facilitator. And I'm also the founder of the Happiness at Work program, which is a burnout prevention program that allows and helps organizations and executives to minimize chronic stress and maximize happiness and productivity at work.
Excellent. And Carmen Manea is located in Europe, in Denmark. Carmen, why don't you say a few words about yourself and your business?
Yeah, hello. So I'm located in Denmark, but as Ivanna as well. I'm born in another country. I'm born in Romania, and I'm in Denmark for about 9 years now. And I am a presence-based leadership coach and a mindfulness facilitator as well, and the founder of my own company called CM Camp. Though I come with more than 15 years business background from global companies as Coca-Cola and Lego Group. Most of the people know them. And I've been coaching people from over 30 countries on 4 continents during the last years, especially women leaders. And I am specialized in authentic leadership, in stress and burnout management, self-confidence, self-awareness, imposter syndrome, inner critic, and emotional balance, self-compassion, diversity, and inclusion. And interestingly enough, I bringing together all this. I work also with coaching, with coaches, and I have a yearly program with them, where different tools from mindfulness, we bring them together so they can manage their own stress and burnout and have better tools to support their clients. So that's about me in just a few words. Happy to be here.
Awesome. And my name is Karin Lindner. I actually used to work at Magna International, which is founded by an Austrian. I'm originally from Austria, moved to Canada in 2003. And when I worked at Magna, actually, I noticed a huge communication gap between the workforce and management. And in the end of 2006, I lost my job due to restructuring. And I started my own business focusing solely on the manufacturing industry. I'm super passionate about the workforce and the potential of the workforce. And so this is what I give my whole energy to. Also, of course, like other coaches focus on very similar things like such as stress management and mindfulness and mental strength, which is so important these days. And yeah, I think, this conversation will be really great because we bring different perspectives in there. Now, the title of this conversation is really about coaching and how to really, disrupt ourselves. And right now we were disrupted unwillingly by health crisis, but coaching is also really great to push us out of our comfort zone and learn new skills. And it's not only always about results, it's also about a whole new way of being. And I would like to direct the conversation a little bit in your opinion now. What are some misconceptions about coaching in your industry or in the countries you interact with that you observe? And maybe I start with Carmen now first.
Thank you, Karin. Well, I think one of the misconceptions that we encounter many times is that there is something wrong with the person that needs to be coached, and then the coach is going to fix the person, or is going to make it different. And what we actually do with coaching is really ensuring or really reminding the people that there is nothing wrong with them. And especially when working with women, it's nothing wrong with women, and also they don't need to be somebody else, because now there is a huge focus on diversity and inclusion, and there is a lot of pressure on women to become as good as their male counterparts. And in my perspective, they're actually equally good. They are just different, or we are all different. And it's very important through coaching actually to support women to become more clear about who they are, about their own skills, about their own strengths, purpose, and vision, to trust themselves more, to be who they really are, and to bring this to the table, and not to try to become another male colleague, or not to become so stressed from comparing herself with others, and to fall in some habits that are not representing her. So I think this is very important to remember. It's absolutely nothing with anyone. Nobody needs to be fixed, but everyone has a huge potential that sometimes has been um, not forgotten, if I can call it, due to so many things to do, due to so many challenges, so many goals, that we forget about it. And it's important to bring it back. And diversity and inclusion means not all being the same, but really all bringing our best selves to the table the way we are. So that's I think very important to remember, and especially for women, to keep in mind. You don't need to be somebody else.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, like I find this so relatable, because I work obviously in a very male dominated industry, the manufacturing industry. And I always keep telling women, don't turn into a man. Don't start using the F word and walk like a man. Uh, Help to raise the standards, and believe in yourself and the ability that you bring to the table. So I can really relate to what you just said, Carmen. And oftentimes a coach is hired to fix somebody, which is obviously not the way to go. What about you, Ivanna? What are your
Yeah.
observations?
Well, I would agree with, I mean, I resonate with everything you're saying, specifically with Karin about, females um, in leadership. They think that they need to embrace a lot of masculine energy and validation from their peers. And I think coaching comes handy to let them know that, like you said, Carmen, it's about authenticity, right? And that you have all the resources that you need to be successful within your own terms. And it's a matter of exploration, right? You don't have to become anybody else, and you don't have to embrace masculine energy to be able to earn the respect, right? So I think that's so valuable. And for me also comes up the concept of scarcity, right? Like a lot of people come to coaching and think about coaching from a place of, I'm not enough, I'm not competent enough. So it's coming from a place of a scarcity. And I think that coaching is the very base of coaching is on the opposite. Coaches believe that our clients have all the potential, right? And it's a matter of realization and activation of that potential. Because like you said, Carmen, sometimes we forget, or we don't connect, right, with our own potential. And the coaches help you manifest that abundance within you, right? That we all, for example, me as a coach, I take for granted, right, that we all have the resources that we need to be happy and successful. And the coach enables you to reconnect with that potential in that place of abundance that lives within you.
Yeah, and that's so important, because we so rarely take the time in our busy lives to really, connect with who I am. And, we always fall back into our default operating system, thinking, not good enough, not smart enough, whatever comes to mind. So it's so important to have like a sounding board, and a coach can be also a great sounding board, and help you to redirect you back on the right path. So I think that is critical, to remember that.
Yeah. And I also think that, for example, at the level that I do coaching, which is corporate level or executive coaching, or, working with executives, sometimes you can be very lonely and making very difficult decisions. And it's difficult to trust or to speak to someone from a place of truth. So I really resonate with what you're saying, Karin, about having a sounding board is critical, being able to process out loud what you think, and having someone that can challenge your thinking and that can help you from from a place of looking for your best interests,
Mm-hmm.
right? That can help you come up with better ideas and to come up with better decision making processes, right?
Yeah, the higher up, the more lonely.
Yeah.
And managers cannot really stand in front of the team and say, I'm really nervous about this, or I'm fearful about this, because that's the energy they will give to the people. So this is very, very important to remember. That's definitely true.
And actually, I would add something to this, Karin. Especially in this period, I've been encouraging my clients, again, leaders, to really show vulnerability and to say, well, you know what, I'm afraid as well. And I also feel insecure, but what I am very sure of is that will go over.
Mm-hmm.
So I really encourage them not to have this mask of I'm strong, I'm powerful, I know it all, I'm not impacted, but really to take responsibility and to say, yeah, I'm impacted too.
Yeah.
And I feel as well this pain, and I feel uncertain. And that's okay, because this is part of life. But what the energy I bring and what I'm actually very sure of is that we'll find ways to get over, to move through it one way or the other. So really authenticity, I think, is important once again, and vulnerability. And as coaches, I think our role is also to keep people tenderly and caring, and in the same time to challenge. I have I have a client told me, well, you give me tough love. I was like, yeah, because I really love you, but I can't let you just not love yourself. So it's sometimes love means being tough and being challenging, and letting people show up the way they are, because this is connection, this is human connection, and this is how your teams are going to trust you, by seeing that you are honest and open, and that you are also human.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise it's very difficult to connect when you are having superpowers. All the others who don't have, or who don't feel enough and don't have superpowers, they will not feel connecting with you.
Mm-hmm.
So this is my invitation to leaders.
Yeah, that's 100% true. So I would like to know what your opinion is now. Like many managers think they go back now to business as usual. And actually, I think the real challenge will start with change management and how to deal with the people, because there are a lot of like new things that come to people, like maybe more people working from home, more systems, processes, new processes. So what would this mean now in the world of coaching, the opportunity when it comes really to work with change management? What are your thoughts on that?
I think that, I mean, in my case, I'm dealing with this uh, a lot lately. Like, a lot of companies are looking for ways to connect with their employees from a place of authenticity and vulnerability, because we cannot deny what's going on right now. So, thinking about being productive and successful given the current circumstances and landscape, it's a little bit too much, it's a little bit ambitious.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that now leaders and companies are looking to educate or connect with their employees by giving them or providing them with tools on how to embrace this change. And I think that providing employees and companies with their ability to embrace a growth mindset is critical, because when you operate from a fixed mindset, it's very hard to make progress and become resilient. And I think that embracing a growth mindset would allow you to be able to validate what's happening, and at the same time, develop the strength and the resilience to continue to adapt and adjust to new things, right? And I think that embracing a growth mindset is critical in this moment.
Awesome. Any thoughts on that, Carmen?
Yeah, I was thinking about business as usual. This is one of the maybe the big mistakes that we can make, to go back at as business as usual. But I think right now many leaders have the opportunity to really tap into their teams and into the value of their teams that maybe they didn't have time or possibility to tap before. And by just really being curious right now, what did it work for you? How do you want to work further? How things are best manageable? Really getting curiosity and tapping into the skills of people and the wisdom of their teams. I think this will be very critical. And many of them already started because they didn't know either. Nobody knew how to approach this situation. And really by trying to take all responsibility, and here again I'm lucky that I'm in a country where it's quite open, and there is not a lot of hierarchy, so people really talk from one to the other. But it's really a lot about involving the others. It's really a lot about being curious. It's really about not having the answers, but looking for the answers, having an interest in what is really working, having an interest in bringing more expertise and learning from what happened, to create a future which is indeed ready for unexpected. So simply having this in mind, we can't know what's going to be, and we never know what's going to happen. And we all have our plans and predictions, and they might change overnight. And really having this readiness for the unexpected. I think it's important to be a new way of working and a new mindset, because the unexpected or the change, I think, is the only constant that we, or the only constant in our lives. Yeah.
Yeah, like I am a hopeless optimist. I always try to find the good in every difficult situation, and I do have to agree that this time now is such a great moment of creation. How do we want to be? How do we want to work? How do we improve certain business models? For me, it was incredible to observe that the same leaders who would have just said a few months back, it's impossible that people work from home, were able to set up within a week or 2 weeks that everybody could work from home. And listen, not everybody wants to work from home. There are still many people who need the structure. They need to go to an office. But it's exactly what you just said, to have the curiosity and explore together with the team what's important for them. So when it comes, because we really made the decision today that we not talk about COVID-19, but we talk about crisis, and crisis can strike anytime. So I would maybe like to ask Ivanna first a little bit on her thoughts on stress management, mindfulness. Like, what would you want people to know when it comes to that?
Yeah, I think that well, it's important to speak about stress, right? Because right now we have external stressors, like our ability to predict is compromised, right? So we don't have our ability to predict anymore. We have lost our ability to have autonomy of our lives, right? And some of us are losing connection, human connection, because some of us are isolated, right, by ourselves in our houses, and maybe some of us have been isolated for more than a month already. So these are things that are definitely stressors that can cause a lot of stress. And stress is basically a defense response from something that we are perceiving as a threat. So you can have external stressors, right? And you can have stressors that you can activate through your belief systems. For example, if you go into an airplane, right? For me, going to an airplane, I'm not activating my stress response because for me, it's not a risk factor. But for others, right, getting into an airplane is for them something that could be risky, right? So then they're activating their stress response because their own belief system is thinking that is risky. So stress can be really activated through our thoughts. And mindfulness really comes handy because mindfulness allows us to train ourselves in the direction of regulating our thoughts and our focus and our impulses. So for example, research shows that we spend 47% of our time and with in automatic pilot, right? Functioning automatic pilot, basically unconsciously, like all our behaviors and actions are done without you even noticing, right? So we spend 47% of our time either in mind wandering or automatic pilot. So how to become more productive, right? And how can you become more efficient at work if you are, lost in your thoughts, right? And right now, the tendency is to think a lot about the future because we're trying to get certainty about the future, right? That's why we consume tons of, that's why we spend a lot of hours consuming media, right? And news, because we want to exercise our ability to have control of our lives and certainty. But this is getting in the way of you becoming more present and more productive and more efficient at work. So mindfulness is really an attention management tool that can really benefit and is really helping right now. It's about to become mainstream at a corporate level because it really is a tool that helps you regulate your attention and your thinking. So you can become more in charge of your actions, and you can capitalize on the present moment so you can become more productive. Right? You can regulate your thinking and your focus from being in the present, from being in the future, a future that you cannot control, and from being in the past, something that you cannot change, right? So the past is something that you cannot change. The future is part of your imagination, is something that you can control. So the best place to live, right, is in the present moment, because here is where you have an input. Here's where you can actually influence, outcomes and results. And here in this moment is when you can become productive and efficient. So mindfulness is a tool that can help you regulate your attention and to really notice, right, when you're thinking about the future and you try to get answers and you're activating your stress response because you're constantly thinking about the worst case scenario, right? It's a good time to really regulate that thought and bring yourself into the present moment by maybe connecting with your breath, right? Or maybe an affirmation that can help you ground you in the present moment so you can really capitalize on the moment, on now, and you can really get yourself to work and to do something productive with the time that you have.
So that's awesome. So like coaching really helps also to create new habits with that, right? So to help people to see
Yes.
what they can do themselves. So I just want to be conscious of the time here. So we have, I would say, about 7 minutes left. So Carmen, when it comes to building resilience, which is obviously important in any kind of crisis that we go through, like what advice would you give, or what is your perspective on this?
Thank you for asking. It has some connection with what Ivanna already said, and actually, I think what's important to bear in mind about resilience is that being resilient doesn't mean having a life without difficulties, but being resilient means having the ability to go through difficulties, to bounce back from setbacks, to trust we are strong enough to go for everything, to have hope. And I think a secret ingredient or a very powerful ingredient for resilience is self-compassion. And there are three components of self-compassion, and one is the one that Ivanna spoke already about, mindfulness, like really acknowledging the situation exactly as it is, without making stories about the future, without ruminating about the past, but really acknowledging the present, acknowledging the feelings, acknowledging the difficulties, and looking for the best response instead of getting into autopilot, instead of reacting. Then the second part of it is common humanity. It's important to recognize that we are all going through challenges. We are all having difficulties sometimes. We are all afraid sometimes. We are all failing. We are all making mistakes. It's part of being human. All this. I was listening to Pema Children speaking, and she said, "Well, it's important to get used to our neuro system with the uncomfortable, because the uncomfortable is part of life." And then the third part is self-kindness. So it's really important to be kind to ourselves when challenges are happening, and when we are go through challenges, is allowing ourselves to feel the suffering, to feel the pain, to feel the fear, and to offer ourselves some comfort. So really saying, well, now I don't know what to do. I am afraid. I feel insecure, and maybe give ourselves a hug, or just smile to ourselves, or do anything that is comforting and warming. And then from there to move forward, to ask ourselves, what do I need in this moment to be able to move forward, even if it's day by day. What do I really need? What do I need to go through this difficulty as gracefully as possible? And again, to have the end point in mind might be very difficult, might be looking very big, but what can I do today? What can I do in this moment? And then I'll have also the bigger picture. So this three parts of self-compassion, like mindfulness, common humanity, and self-kindness, I think are very, very important to keep on building resilience, and to have not a life without challenges, but to have life where we navigate challenges in the best possible way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow, this is
And I think that,
such powerful advice.
yes, and I think that at the end, I would absolutely agree with you, Carmen. And I think it's awakening. I mean, to be able to cope with the challenges that we're facing right now, we need to activate the friend, or awaken the friend within us,
Mm,
instead of, activating the inner critic within us, right? Like being able to be able to build the resilience that we need to cope with these challenges. We need to activate that friend that
yeah,
lives within us, with
yeah,
compassion and kindness.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I was just thinking while Carmen was speaking about my clients in the manufacturing industry and self-compassion. There's not even the time sometimes for them to sit down and to think about those kind of things, but it's so powerful, and it's just so important that we create more and more awareness,
Mm-hmm.
um, really, that this is in connection with the business results.
Mm,
Like how we feel and how we manage our own emotional state, how we are able to regulate ourselves and our energy, and how we distribute this to other people. Well, when I walk into the company in the morning and I'm frustrated, I forget to greet people or ignore them, that all of this creates the energy that in the end impacts the results. And I think it's very, very powerful to keep this in mind, and to talk about it. In my opinion, everyone should work with a coach. It shouldn't be only be open sometimes to high level executives or managers. um, what would it be like if a supervisor in my industry would be able to work with a coach? How powerful would this be to influence the frontline people here? So I think this would be wonderful, and maybe this should be a vision for all of us to really see, uh, that people have more access to coaching. I think that's really a powerful vision to have, because I think we all of us need this sounding board on yeah, to ground ourselves, right?
Right.
So at the end, is there any kind of call for action that you would like to give the people, like a short sentence that they should keep in mind? Is there anything that comes to mind that you want to send them off with?
I don't know. I think that one of the things, one of my missions is to help people develop their own uniqueness and authenticity. I think that we spend a lot of time trying to be, like Carmen was saying, or you were saying, Karen, somebody else, and meet other people's metrics of success. And I think that, you know, we can engage into burnout by doing that. So I think that taking the time to really embrace this journey of self-discovery and and reconnection with your potential, because I think it's key to be yourself and to bring your uniqueness and your gifts to the world, because we all have something special, we all have something unique, and the world is waiting for you to collaborate. And we all need your gifts and your specialty. So it's our mission in life to be able to honor that, to honor our truth, and to honor our authenticity and our special gifts. And it's important to take the time to do that. And coaching is a great way to facilitate that.
Awesome. Carmen?
Yeah, and I think it's actually our responsibility to take our gifts and skills out into the world. Not only our mission, but our responsibility to this world. Maybe the sentence that I'd like to leave everyone with is like, really believe and really be certain of the fact that you are strong enough to go through wherever is going to come. That it's important to pause, to breathe, and to see what's happening and what do you really need to go through this, and which are also the learnings. Because if we go through life without learning and without taking the best out of it, is only half living, as Ivanna was saying before, half autopilot and half consciously. So bring your consciousness to a higher level and know that you're strong enough for everything.
That is awesome. And my final thought would be that I truly hope that people will learn to find the good in every situation and the good in every person. Like we have mentioned earlier, we all make mistakes, we all have our shortcomings, and it's good to remember that. And sometimes we are so easy to judge. And when you are able to shift yourself and say what is good about the person, then you will be able to lift them. So when we judge people, we limit them, and I think that should be a good reminder. So I truly enjoyed this conversation. I hope you did too, and I hope at some point we can do this again.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Karin and Ivanna, and thank you everyone who's taking the time to listen to what we've been talking about.
Yeah, thanks so much, ladies, and thanks so much to everyone who watched this video. Bye, ladies.
Bye.